So we've sat down and done this before, but we're going to go over some of these basics. So why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Kelsey Legate.
You've lived here whole life, right?
Just left for 4 years to go to school, and then I came back.
And your family?
Family, husband Clint, son Hank, and daughter Polly.
And Hank is 4 now?
4. Same birthday as Jonas.
Yes.
And Polly's 2.
All right. And your education background?
Bachelor of Journalism from ZOO, same as you.
And OHS?
2012.
12. And then what you do for work?
I own local living real estate brokerage in Odessa.
All right. And then before that, and you've done that for how long?
I've owned the brokerage for 4 years.
All right. Before that?
I was Cerner Corporation.
All right. And organizations that you're a part of?
The Chamber of Commerce president, the rodeo chairperson, and Board of Education. And I think that's it.
Okay. So how long have you been president now?
That's a good question. I was trying to think of that the other day. I think this is my 3rd year. And I served on the board before that.
And the rodeo chair has been for a while now too, right?
Yeah, I think I started that in 2019. We didn't have it in 2020, so like 7 years-ish. Yeah.
All right. And this is the end of your first term on the school board.
Yes.
Which gets into experience. Any other experience we need to go over in terms of boards or?
I'm trying to think. I've sat on a lot of like committees, workshops for like the downtown sidewalk project, the what was the city's strategic improvement?
Strat plan.
Yeah. So I've sat in on a lot of those like type of workshops, kind of one-off, but no other like formal boards. Yep.
All right. And why are you running for another term?
I think there are a lot of things. Sorry, I don't want to use things. I think there are a lot of initiatives and projects that are in flight, and I'm excited to see some of them come to fruition potentially in the next term.
All right. So you're seeing a lot of things that you think are going to come to fruition. What exactly are some of those?
Well, the one that comes to the top of my mind is the new lower elementary school. So that's been in the works even before I got on the board, but we've gained a lot of momentum since I've been on the board. It'll be on the ballot in April. And so hopefully that will pass, both the bond and the levy. If the levy doesn't pass, then I'm excited to be a part of some of the conversations on how we can use the bond money to fund part or all of a new construction. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for continuing to track the progress of some of the curriculum that we have in place. So we've had iReady in place for 3 years, but like we went over last night, the ELA curriculum has been in place for 2 years, piloting a new math this year. So I'm excited to see those trends in another term, to see if they're effective and if they're getting students back on track, especially those that have fallen behind.
All right. And so what about you? Do you feel makes you a good board member?
What do I think makes me a good board member? Well, whenever I ran the first time, and I still feel very passionately about this, I just want to be a voice and an advocate for the moms. I do think that women make decisions more emotionally than men do, but I think that there's value in having a balanced board. And I'm even hopeful that we'll have more of a balanced board in the future as far as women and men. I just think it's really valuable to have that voice at the table and that perspective whenever making decisions for the district.
All right. And so as the board is having decisions or making decisions and having discussions, different people sometimes play different roles in discussions. Mm-hmm. What do you see as kind of your role that you tend to play?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel like I'm always asking questions. I like to take notes before we go into the meeting with things that I want to spark as discussion pieces during our open session. I think it's important to have open and honest conversations as a board. And so I feel like I ask really good questions. I have the podcast now, so I feel like I'm just good at like evoking and sparking provoking conversations. Like I obviously don't have a construction background or an engineering background, and so I'm not able to contribute as well to those types of conversations, but I think it's important to always remember that the overarching goal of the decisions that we're making is for the betterment of our students. And our students aren't just a number. It's like my kid, it's my nieces and nephews. Like they're just little people that we're trying to grow into contributing members of society. And so I just want that to continue to be at the focus of all the decisions and discussions that we're having as a board.
So how do you feel about the district's current direction?
The district's current direction. Let me think of what I want to say. I think that we have the right tools to be successful as a district. So we have DCI coming in and consulting with us on our curriculum and how we're delivering lessons. And I think it's really important to have an outside perspective because you don't know what you don't know. I mean, obviously our staff and our admin have always gone to professional development outside of the district at conferences, but I think it's really nice to have consultants on our campus and seeing how our teachers are engaging with students every day. So I'm excited to see kind of how that implementation will contribute to student success in the future. I also, I really, really love the culture shift of the district with some new admin. I feel like Robbie or Mr. Shepard, so he implemented like kind of an open, like a recess for the high schoolers. And I feel like it's just contributing to kind of like a family type of culture at the high school. And I like those students are so impressionable and vulnerable at that age that I think it kind of gives everyone like a sense of belonging. And like I remember when I was in high school, you get lunch and only certain people are in lunch with you. But now they can like eat lunch with people that they fit in with. And so I just think that that's like a really good culture shift specifically for that school. So I'm excited for some of like the little tweaks that are being made to kind of move into like more of a collaborative effort as a district.
All right. And how would you describe your vision for the district?
My vision for the district. I feel like my mind has been so focused on McQuarrie, so I don't have kids that are in the district right now. So I want the district to be a positive, caring, comforting space for all children. And I feel like I have a really like defined vision for that because I do have kids that will be coming into the district soon. I think it's kind of hard for me sometimes to make decisions because I don't have a kid in the district right now. So like some of the people on the board like know what's going on in each of the buildings, or they know the specific like teacher that's struggling or student that's struggling. I don't have like key insights to that. And so I feel like I'm just able to make decisions like more broadly for the betterment of all students. What was the question?
Your vision for the district.
Vision. Okay. Yeah, I just want us to continue to grow, provide a nurturing, caring environment for all students, and get McQuarrie built like we so desperately need.
When you say continue to grow.
Yes. Getting students back on track with specifically ELA and math. Social studies and science will come, but looking at our iReady scores, like continuing to close the gap, making sure that every staff member is teaching the same curriculum. Like you could walk into any classroom and they're all going to be going over like the vowels this week. Just like streamlined teaching across the grade levels, and then moving from grade level to grade level. Like every student should know the exact same thing whenever they go to from 2nd to 3rd grade.
All right. And so what issues do you feel are most important to the district right now?
I feel like a big thing that probably a lot of districts are feeling is the funding and what's going on in Jeff City right now. Public education is kind of being attacked at all fronts. I mean, you're looking at property taxes potentially being decreased, funding from income tax being decreased, open enrollment. I'm not sure how I necessarily feel about that, but nonetheless, our funding is at risk. And whenever you are a publicly funded entity, that's very scary. You know, we're continually trying to give our educators raises and provide like the best resources for our students. And that's hard whenever you can't plan for what your budget's going to look like next year.
All right. Just to kind of speed run through some of those things at Jeff City. The first one was open enrollment. You're just saying you don't.
As far as funding, I guess I don't. I think that open enrollment could benefit some students in our area. So I'm thinking of students that, and I'm just talking about Odessa. So there are students that live in the Lone Jack district that live closer to Odessa. You know, they have family here, but they just bought a house in the Lone Jack school district. So I think it could be beneficial for those students, or that like live in the Wellington district. Do I think that it's going to suck some of those smaller districts dry? Yes, I think that there will be consolidation if open enrollment does pass. I just think there's so many things that have to be ironed out, especially if they're going to make us do this by August. Like, do we have the option to opt into this? How many students do we have to take? I think it's just unsettling when like something can pass in June and you're expected to implement it by August, because there are like so many logistics that have to be worked out. So do I think that it could be positive for Odessa? Yes, but are we the biggest district in Lafayette County? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah. Like I fear for the smaller districts for sure.
All right. And then the voucher / school choice issue has also come back up. How do you feel about those?
Where they can like choose to go
to private school.
I think that's hard because most of the people that are on those committees are obviously in favor of private schools. So in my opinion, you know, if you want your student to go to private school, then I think that you should have to pay for your student to go to private school. I don't think that you should be taking the funding from the public school and using that to fund your private school education. I want every student to have the same opportunity. And whenever you're, like I said, taking funds away from public education, you're not giving every student the same opportunity.
All right. And they're looking at changing the foundation formula in a big way, and that's been a discussion at a lot of meetings recently.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an opinion on that process?
Changing the formula?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've kind of already talked about just how they're going to reallocate and fund public schools, right? So if they're going to take money away from, or if they're going to take funds away from how we're currently funded, like there will be, like there's no winning with this, right? Sure, like your taxes may come down, or you may get a little bit more on your income that won't be taxed, but your students are going to suffer, right? Like we're going to have to eliminate positions. Like when there's less money, we don't have money to pay teachers. So we'll have bigger class sizes. We'll have to eliminate positions, take away, sports that we just added, not be able to turn over our devices as frequently. So we have broken devices and kids can't learn as effectively. Like there's no winning. And I wish that, people see like, oh yeah, I'm going to have to pay less on my property tax, but they don't realize the implications of that.
All right. And then the big one, which is that they're looking at eliminating a state income tax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is a large portion of what?
Like 70% of our budget?
Yeah.
There's no public education if they do that. I think it kind of ties into what I've already said. I mean, you have to consolidate bigger class sizes, less teachers, more discipline referrals because there's less supervision. Like, again, there's no winning. And I mean, you agree, like people see something on the ballot and it's worded in a way that it's enticing. They want to vote yes for it because it's more money in their pocket, but then their student isn't getting a proper education. We're not able to maintain the facilities that we have. Like there's like so many downstream effects to it.
All right. So yeah, I jumped into those since you brought that one up.
Mm-hmm.
Any other issues that you'd like to bring up?
I think those are the big ones. Open enrollment, income tax. Yeah, I feel like those are the main ones that I'm following.
Okay. Well, I've got my things I'm going over with everybody.
Okay.
And you've talked about the elementary plan a little bit, but
yeah,
just to go more in depth about how you feel about that plan as it is.
Like the schematic design or
all of it.
Like location, all of that. Okay. So I guess you were asking like what committees or boards I've been on. I sat in on that board, or not, it wasn't a board, like those brainstorming type sessions. And the initial one was the location of the building. And it was either out at where the upper elementary is or kind of on the same site as McQuarrie. And so we kind of brainstormed, reached out to community members on the pros and cons of each. The kind of like overarching consensus on the property that I received was like, why do we have all of that land out there if we're not going to use it? And so the feedback that I got from a lot of community members was, if we're going to do it, let's do it right. Don't just piecemeal it together. And so that's kind of where the decision came for the location of the building. I think another hot topic is the 2-story that people have seen in the schematic design. I was able to go tour a couple elementaries that IDS has designed. And, we used to have a 3-story building here, and people ask about like the maintenance, but I think what they've kind of insinuated is that, you have less real estate for, what do they call that? Like the outside, like the shell, since it's 2 or 3-story, like you have less shell cost, so like less roof to replace, less like, basically just a smaller footprint. And so we were able to see how that 2-story building was able to work for elementary students. And I think just like design has evolved so much since we had upper elementary, which was built in like, it's the 1912 building, so a long time ago. And I think there are just a lot of advancements on effective education and how we can best go throughout our day, as even with like locker rooms and like flex space. Just education is changing, so I'm excited to see like some more designs. This fall they had some just kind of like preliminary images of like what a library could look like or outdoor learning space. And so I'm just excited for our students to have just like a renewed energy about learning. And I think that building could provide that both for our staff and students. And it's so desperately needed. You know, we've done a couple of things with the bond issue in 2022 with like the bus loops, getting the buses off of the main street, but it's like it's so congested over there during drop off and pick up with the car riders. And so I think if we can move it out to where upper is, have a better flow of traffic, open up the 00 side of that property. And I think with moving it out there too, it does some improvements to that property that needed to be done anyway with upper being out there. You know, traffic, it's one way in, one way out at upper. So giving them 2 points of entry and exit, it's kind of two birds, one stone with putting it out there with the flow of traffic. So I'm excited to see where it goes. And I hope our taxpayers are excited as we are about providing a safe learning environment for our students.
What do you mean specifically by this one being safe as opposed to what's there now?
Safe?
Mm-hmm. Or is that what you meant by that statement about excited about providing safe?
I'm just talking about like structurally. A lot of things have changed from when McQuarrie was built. I'm not talking about like active threats or anything. I'm just talking about like outdated like fixtures in the bathroom. Like things are more what's the word? Not adaptive. What's the word I'm looking for? Maybe it is. Just like I think the flow of the new building will just be, it'll just support learning in a way that McQuarrie can't do right now with how it's currently designed. And I think that building has done the best that it can, but I think that a lot has changed in education in 70 years.
Making sure we... All right. And test scores. She talked a little bit about the efforts being made on that, but how are you feeling about how those test score results have come in?
Well, I will be the first to say that our test scores make me nervous. I know our students are working so hard and our teachers are working so hard, but unfortunately our test scores are not reflective of that. I'm hopeful with the implementation of our curriculum, we can start see a trend, see it start trending upwards. I know they've had a real focus on attendance, which plays into our test scores as well, having some incentives. I always see the middle school like incentivizing their students to make sure that they're there every day, and perfect attendance gets little prizes and stuff. So I'm happy that our admin is trying to do little things to get students eager about learning. I know that, you know, people or students that are meeting their stretch growths are always being celebrated, but our APR is, I mean, it should be something that we're talking about every single month. It's our scorecard for the district. It's how we stay accredited. And I hope that the foundation that we're laying now with our professional development and our curriculum, we will see a payoff. It's so hard because you have to wait so long to like reap the rewards that you have sown. So I think that we're in the right direction, but I hope by May we can start reaping some of those rewards.
All right. Do you feel the district is doing enough to combat the teacher shortage?
You know, something that's interesting with the teacher shortage, and I know that we already have this in place a little bit, is, and I can't think of what the program is called, and they haven't passed it in Jeff City yet, but it's basically like, what?
Go ahead.
Oh, if you have an associate's degree, you can do like on the job learning for the next 2 years, kind of like with a mentor, and then you can get your teaching certificate. I think that's just a unique way to combat teacher shortage in a way. You know, they can start earning income after 2 years as opposed to 4. They can get real world experience. I mean, you know as well as I do, real world hands-on experience is better than what you're going to get in the classroom or like at university. So I'm excited to see where that bill goes. Like I said, I think we have some staff that maybe have like a bachelor's now, but not in teaching. And so they're able to kind of be in like a probationary type of period and then figure out if teaching is for them. And so I think there are some creative ways that we're getting the right people into the classroom.
So do you feel that it's working?
I mean, we have someone that was in a different industry for 15 years and they thought they would give teaching a try. And so they're, and so kind of like through that program, they didn't have to go back to college. They're able to be in the classroom and then take those classes at the same time. And that's someone that we wouldn't have had in the classroom otherwise.
All right. Any other issues that you've thought up of going over while we've gone into these?
I'm trying to think of what else has been. Oh, well, it's not really an issue. One thing that I've been so excited about is at ECSE, we are doing the peer engagement now. So we have neurotypical students and special education students both at ECSE. And what I love about it is these kids that were probably just sitting at home otherwise are able to get free education and intervention. Well, I guess it's not intervention. Neurotypical are just coming to be peer-to-peer support. So I love that we've been able to implement that. And like I said, it's free for special education and neurotypical kiddos. So I think it's a really exciting initiative that we have.
All right. So we'll close out with the magic wand question. You get to add one thing to the district that it doesn't currently have. What is it?
I thought about this. And I know last time I said horseback riding, but I've been on the board for 3 years. And I think the hardest thing is that every student comes to McQuarrie and they're not on the same playing field. I think if I had like one wish for the district, it would be that every student that walked into McQuarrie on the first day just had the same blank slate. Like every student came with like parental support and a strong home life, and everyone was just able to start at the same like starting line, if that makes sense. That would be my one wish.
Is there anything that you feel like the district could implement to help with that?
You know, I'm going to go back to the ECSC thing. So we're identifying those peer-to-peer from parents as teachers. And so I think getting some of those kiddos that, like I said, were maybe just sitting at home before, into school, getting them jump started. They can identify letters, write their name before they come to school. I do think that's a way that we are engaging some of those kids that maybe are at a disadvantage when they come to kindergarten, won't be now. And it's like maybe 10 kids, but just something.
All right. Anything else you think anyone needs to know about you to understand you as a candidate for school board or know about the district?
I'll just say it takes so long to figure out this role. And so I do think that it took me the better part of my first term to kind of get my feet wet. I felt like I was drinking from a fire hose at the beginning, but I do feel like I have a good understanding of how the district functions, and I'm excited to take what I've learned during my first term, hopefully into a second, and continue to make a positive impact.
All right. Thank you so